I challenge the writer of Ecclesiastes. Historical texts record him to be the writer that is. They say that it is King Solomon who actually wrote it. But in other commentaries it talks about a great questioner or the preacher. More than likely it was written by Solomon. And that's all the more reason why I have to question the validity of that scripture. Everything in the Bible is not a stone-written truth. Most of it comes from a source text, from other sources predating it by thousands of years. But that is another story for another day. But I find it ironic that we take a man who was labeled as the wisest man who ever lived and happened to be the most richest man that ever lived too, according to the scripture. He also had 700 wives and concubines combined. And it seems with that many women and that much of a desire, he definitely found something new in each one, or else he would not have had them. So to say that we're taking advice from a man who found something very new in all those 700 plus women, that fact alone has me questioning if it's really plausible to even think that there is not ever anything new under the sun. It could be true, or it is true to an extent, that life is mundane, it's monotonous, and it has a repeating factor to it. But that all goes into the matrix. When I speak of the matrix, I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about cyclical, recurring loops that happen in the time and frame of existence. I'm talking about history that repeats itself over and over and over again. I'm talking about how the sun rises and it sets, and then we have other planets as holograms in our system that are positioned to program, and they're following a script. They're following a pathway. This is what the matrix is. This is the framework of that whole ideology of a matrix system. So in that factor, yes, when you're speaking about there's nothing new under the sun, he's talking about the monotony of life plus the fact that there is a matrix, and the fact that most people who are here are programmed to function within that matrix. The beings that created us, or who created the majority of the mankind, created them for the purposes of work and toil. And that's why they gave the control to a very small percentage of so-called elites. These elites work for these people that created us. Now, who are these people? Some people more call them the Anunnaki, the ones that came from above. The Sumerian text will talk about the ones that came from above, and they have pictures of them. Large beings. Let's just call them the Anunnaki now. Since it's becoming more talked about, that's what we'll use it as. The Anunnaki created the majority of mankind for the purpose of work and to toil underneath the sun. As long as they have the resources they need to survive and to move forward with their own planet, which is actually a ship, then they're fine. They don't care. They don't have to intervene with our lives because they created the matrix system, this entire illusion, for an existence of 4 people, so they can have dedicated, recurring service of the mining of resources on the earth by them. The people who are waking up, the people who are realizing that this is a simulation, and that they're realizing that, hey, I'm real. I'm different than them. You have a different DNA structure. You're different. You come from a different line. Anunnaki, false gods, are not of us. The Elohim that created us in the garden are not for us. They're jealous beings. They're jealous beings, just like their father, Yahweh. You ever wondered why the scriptures talk about Yahweh being a jealous God? And how he wanted nobody to have any idols before him? That wasn't for a spiritual or religious sense. That was for the purposes of dedicated service, loyalty, and to have reoccurring slaves and workers to carry the toil of the Anunnaki upon the earth. That's why they don't want you to progress. They don't want you to worship any other thing that can tell you who you are. They don't want you to realize who you are. And if you do, they don't want you to spread the knowledge to those that don't know. Because then they don't have a commodity upon the earth giving them the resources they need to survive. They no longer will have a commodity of being a species that is suitable for work and toil. And that's just the fact of what is not being said. What are y'all doing? That's what's not being said when it comes to discussions like this. So I challenge the writer of Ecclesiastes. I challenge Solomon. And I answer that with a rebuttal. There is plenty new under the sun. It's just when you're able to experience this realm without being plugged into the matrix, without being part of a script, then you can actually discover all the things that we don't know. And even your own scripture tells us that there's so many things in the waters, the dark waters, the depths of the seas that we haven't even discovered. And that at the one point, the Most High even forgot that he created. There is so much that we don't know. So to say nothing is new under the sun, I challenge that big time. Nothing is ever new as long as you're part of this scripted matrix. If you are real, you need to go to the reality aspect of this realm. That's the path to ascension. Christ consciousness is centered around this. It's about defying everything that we are programmed with. I wasn't actually talking about a Christ coming back and saving anyone from anything. Christ is a consciousness, is a level of ascending your conscious mind. And that is something that we should all be ascribing to do, instead of putting band-aids and patches over everything and then acting surprised when it repeats itself in history over and over and over. That is a loop. That is a loop in a program script, just like a computer and code has loops. Wake up from your sleep in splendor. Download the reality app in your mind. Grow the mental megahertz capacity in your brain computer, and you'll be able to understand what I'm saying. If this isn't for you, just skip it. But I do challenge the thinking that there is not anything new under the sun. And I challenge the thinking that Yahweh The God of the Israelites, the God of the Old Testament, was actually one of the Anunnaki, jealous gods that wanted us to keep us in a laboratory experiment within the Garden of Eden. And the Most High True God has nothing to do with that whatsoever. More on this later. That's it. Shalom.